So a little while ago, I actually made a community post on YouTube, and it was like basically asking, "Hey, what would y'all want for me to talk about?" And somebody actually brought up that I should talk about Jesus and my views of success. Now, I will talk about my views of success later, but the short version of that answer is that my view of success is being able to do whatever you want with the least amount of work imaginable. So it's like, you don't do work to get the stuff that you want. You just get it, just, and then boom, things work, and then things happen for you. So that's my view of success, the short version. I will probably like do a deeper dive into that later. But I did want to talk a little bit about, Jesus. But I need y'all to understand real quick, and this is a really big disclaimer. I'm Southern, which I Southern, and I grew up, in the faith. So the whole concept of what I'm about to talk about, it comes from a place of personal experience. Now everybody has different experiences when it comes to religion, but I don't intend on ruffling any religious feathers with this because I grew up with the faith, and I have friends in the community of the faith-based community, and I do love these people, and I do love what the idea of what Jesus is can do. The problem is, in order to talk about Jesus, I have to talk about religion because Jesus is just one part of religion. There's the book itself, the characters within the book, or the books, because the Bible is actually a collection of books. And then there's the practice that comes with people who read the books and are fans of the book. Because I don't look at religion as much as I look at it as a fandom. I look at it as I think of, when I think of the Bible, I think of the greatest movie ever made, basically. Like, before movies were a thing, and before TV was a thing, and before radio was a thing, I believe that the Bible was quite possibly it was basically just a collection of some of the best stories ever told by a certain amount of people, and people loved that story so much that they wanted to tell everybody else about it. Notice how I want y'all to understand, when I say story, I don't mean fictional or non-fictional. I'm talking about just stories in general. People wrote these stories down, and people just thought it was so epic and so incredible that they wanted other people to know about it as well. If you ever like look up a lot of mythology, and once again, and I need y'all to understand, I'm not saying that the Bible is mythology, but just bear with me here. But if you look up a lot of mythology and you read the Bible, there's a lot of similar aspects within the Bible and most mythology. There's a creation myth, there's a demigod, there are people who have walked through life in some fashion. Like there's pantheons and there's collections and groups. There's a lot. Like the more you spread the religions apart, the more they share similar concepts, and it's a lot like that with multiple stories. But everybody sort of gets the stories a little bit different, and that's the part that kind of stresses me out a little bit because specifically in America, I was trained on this idea that if you believe in God, everything is going to work out in your favor. If you believe that God exists, everything is going to work out in your favor. So imagine being a kid, believing that God exists, and then kind of just sort of going through pain. You know what I'm saying? Imagine being told as a kid, if you pray, you're gonna get the thing that you pray for. You know what I'm saying? And like there's this one gospel song that always, like, as a child, my mom used to play gospel all the time. One of the biggest reasons why it actually kind of broke my heart when Whitney Houston passed away was because my mom used to play a lot of Whitney Houston's gospel songs. But there was one song in particular, not by Whitney Houston, by the way, that stuck out in my head. Is "It may not come when you wanna, but he'll be there right on time. I tell you, he's an on-time God. Yes, he is." I'm not the best singer, but just bear with me. The "he may not come when you want it" part was always the part that sort of like even as a kid, it didn't even sound like anything because I was a child, and it just sounded like A-I-O-A-R-A. That's what it sounded like to me as a kid. But when I got older and I heard that part made me question a lot of things about religion. Like, how can he be there right on time if he's not there when I want him to be there? That's like finding a cure for my sickness after I'm like 2 days away from death. You know what I'm saying? It's like, last thing I like, I don't need somebody who's right on time. I need something that's going to happen before things get bad. I need things to be like, I need things to, like, I consider myself to be a pretty on time person. I actually have to go to work like right now today, and I'm going to be at work an hour before I have to start my shift, because I'm not trying to be there right on time. I'm trying to be there early, so that way I'm there right on time. That makes sense? So that part always really struck me as a little odd, but it was just, but like, when you're growing up and you're sort of being introduced to this concept that things are going to go the way that you want them to go as long as you ask for it from a divine source, right? And then you just don't get the thing. It's very disheartening. I grew up thinking that like maybe God couldn't hear me, or maybe God was helping out other people, which would be kind of like the whole concept of God being capable of doing anything part would just really kind of, that also hurt a little bit. It's like, imagine being told that your God can do everything, and then, you ask God for just something simple and it just doesn't happen. And this is like, as a child, I had to grow up with this. But I also had to grow up living, like, but I also had to grow up, living rationally. Like, I realized maybe God is not this genie that is going to just give you things that you want just because you ask for it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe religion in itself is just a belief system that's supposed to motivate you to do good things. That's how I grew up. I went from thinking that God is a genie to thinking religion is just supposed to be something that's supposed to motivate you and get you to think positively and think about good things. And I was cool with that perspective. I was cool with that idea of, okay, maybe religion is that, okay? And then I started seeing people utilize religion to justify some of the most cruelest and most malicious perspectives probably ever. And that hurt. Okay, for example, like there was the whole spare it the rod, spoil it the child thing to justify like hurting children. You know what I mean? It was like people would think, oh no, it's just like, you got to give your kid a little bit of discipline, which is code for abuse, so to speak. And it really hurt me because it was people would say, thou shalt not bear false witness, just so they can justify not believing somebody when they're being told something that they didn't want to hear. Walk by faith and not by sight meant just being delusional. It's like somebody would tell you, like if somebody were to tell you, hey, don't walk out in traffic because the cars are going through, you'll have somebody saying, I'll walk by faith and not by sight, and they'll walk in traffic. And then if they somehow manage to survive walking in traffic, they'll just say, see, God protected me. Now I can do this whenever I want. And it's like, no, you shouldn't want to do that whenever you want, because that's still dangerous. It became less like America, like not America, but just like it became less like religion was less of a belief system motivated to help people and more of a belief system to justify just being okay with bad things happening and sort of like excusing it a little bit, because it's like, well, it can't be that bad because you're still alive and God hasn't ended you yet, right? And it's like, and like at that moment, my perspective of religion became less of this. It became, like I said, it started off as God is a genie, and it's like, that's not the case. And then it became, it's used to kind of motivate people to be good people. And then that wasn't the case. And now when I think of religion, I think of living in a neighborhood with a serial killer. And, a serial killer who gives you like $2, right? He either ends your life, does nothing to you, or gives you $2. That's it. So you have a 2 out of 3 chance to just go the rest of your day without getting killed. You know what I mean? Like, but then there's going to be somebody out there who's going to be like, ooh, I got $2. You know what that means? That means that the serial killer that normally either does that or gives us $2, he is helping us. This $2 is great. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it feels like. It feels like that's what necessarily American Christianity is. And I kind of don't like that perspective, because because I truly do believe that it's supposed to motivate you to be a better person. If you are a Christian, it's the lack of optometrists because of Christianity is mind-boggling to me. How do you read about Jesus Christ curing sight, giving sight to the blind, and just not wanting to do that? You know what I mean? Like blindness is a thing that we still have today. Blindness is one of those, like we are capable of losing at least one or two of our senses in our lifetime. We could either lose our ability to see. We have a really high chance of losing our ability to hear. Some of us have already. We have a chance of losing our ability to taste and smell thanks to, the big C. We have like all of these things that we are capable of doing that could genuinely like hurt us down the line. And like we can't fix those problems. Like if we have those problems, they're just there. You know what I mean? Like if you lose your ability to like see, if you're blind, that's it. Game over. Because Christians don't want to become optometrists. Christians don't want to follow in the ways of Jesus Christ to try to help people, try to cure blindness. Think about that. Jesus Christ actually like helped fed a whole bunch of people with fish and with loaves of bread. Why aren't there churches offering up fish sandwiches? That's a pretty easy thing to do right there. You could just I remember going to church, and one of the things that we used to do, one of the things that the pastor used to say as a closing prayer was, strengthen the sick. No, it was heal the sick and strengthen the weak. I remember those two lines specifically, and I'm in my brain. I'm like, why aren't there more hospital sponsored? Why aren't there more church sponsored hospitals? Not ones that do faith healing, but I'm talking about hospitals that actually why if we're going to heal the sick, then can I go to church and they help pay my medical bills? If you're strengthening the weak, where's it? Like, is there a gym that's sponsored by the church? Like, there's the more I learn about the church, I learn about all of these other things. I learned about all of these corruption practices and all these terrible things that these pastors and priests have done with people within their congregation. All the money that they stole, all the stuff that they've done. Like, pastors shouldn't have jets. They have jets. Preaching the word of God. And they have jets, okay? They don't drive a car like normal people. They, wherever they need to go. And one guy asked for it. Like, it's hard for me to take religion seriously and do religion knowing that this is what, people say all the time, beware of false prophets. Don't let these people don't let these people be the people that don't let these people corrupt your belief on what religion is. I'm not letting those corrupt practitioners and those false prophets convince me of what it is. It's the lack of people. It's the lack of churches that actually help people. I live, if you go into a poor neighborhood, every other corner is a church. And I can assure you that area still looks poor. That area still looks like it's in bad shape. Outside of preaching the word of God, what do these people actually do? We have people who are going to be homeless. Where's the church sponsored affordable housing complexes? Where's the church sponsored, places to go where you can actually get kicked off of a drug habit? Where are these places? Jesus Christ was hanging out with lepers and poor people and look at the apostles. These were not perfect people. Okay, these were, I think what one of them had an anger problem, the other one had a drinking problem. There was one of them betrayed him. These were not perfect people, but Jesus Christ was like, yeah, I'm gonna hang out with them. I mean, they seem cool. But the church nowadays can't even bother to give homes to the homeless. Homes, okay? But pastors can have access to these sweet rides and these and jets, private jets. You can't convince me that I have a really hard stuff like that is why I don't really mess with religion like that. I don't really I do like the idea of certain people practicing it as a means to just sort of motivate themselves to do the right thing and sort of to motivate themselves to kind of just sort of laugh, not necessarily laugh, but something to kind of keep them motivated towards doing the right thing and helping people. But I can't stress enough, multiple things can make you do that. You can have faith in just about anything, and it'd be just like having faith in religion. You know what I'm saying? You can have faith in God. Like with me, I have faith in the deceased. my friends and family who are not with me anymore. Like a lot of things that I do, I try my best to, like, I don't pray to anyone, you know what I'm saying? I don't pray to anyone, I don't worship anyone, but a lot of things that I do, I find myself just asking, would my friends and family who are not living anymore be okay with me doing what I'm doing? And sometimes the answer is no, and I just do it anyway. Why? Because they know who I am. They know what kind of person I am before they passed away, and they can see it now. But the idea is that, like, I don't. But the idea though is that, like, and I'm not saying that, I'm not telling anybody to not trust in God. I'm not telling anybody to not believe in God. I'm not telling anybody to not be religious. I'm not doing that. But what I am doing is I'm letting you know specifically that my perspective when it comes to religion, it's like it's more than just Jesus to me. There's always going to be these people who are going to be like, well, you didn't talk about Jesus, you didn't talk about God, you just talked about, like, pastors and stuff like that, because that's my perspective. I can't, like, I'm reading the Bible right now, and a lot of people who I know, a lot of people who I've heard of who claim to have read the Bible are white supremacists now. They are Republicans now. They're saying that people like me should just suffer now. So I don't want to, like, I don't want to think that I know Jesus because, like, I never met the guy. I'm dying to meet him. I heard it was great. I heard he's great at parties. But, like, I can't do the religion thing. I can't go to church. That's like one, because, like, churches be corrupt. It's like, I can't go to a church that doesn't have its own housing facility. You know what I mean? Like, there's people in your congregation right now who are undergoing a lot of financial and fiscal, a lot of struggles right now. Some of them are going to do a lot worse struggles. You, as a church, could be helping them. I mean, where's your outreach centers? Where's your where's your homeless shelters? Where is your, like, there's a lot of LGBTQIA people who love God and who love religion and do all these things. Are you supporting them? Where's your outreach centers for them? Where can they go when their parents kick them out? Are you helping them? Like, to me, you have to literally, I mean, pun intended, practice what you preach. If you're going to preach that God is going to save people without actually trying to help people, then I can't trust you. There's all these pastors up in here all the time. God told me. God told you. God told you. God, the super being that created the entire universe, and whose voice is apparently like this big booming thing, approached you in a dream and just told you whatever God told you. Okay. God has a gender too. Okay. Does God also have a skin color? I can't talk about this sort of thing. I'm not. My religion is simple. My religion is simple because I do believe in God and I do have a faith, but, like, I don't go to church. I don't pray to anyone. I don't worship anything or anything like that. But I do believe, like, I believe that God is the answer to the unanswered questions. So, like, I'm both a firm believer of science, and I'm also a believer of God. Like, like, for example, it's like, what makes up quarks? I don't know. That could be God. You know. It's like, what's on the? It's like, is there an inverse? Is there an inversion to the galaxy? I don't know. If there is, that could be God. I don't like if it's like, if you can't answer the question, I'm willing to accept the possibility of that being God. But I'm not about to just be like, well, because God exists, I'm going to be okay with terrible things happening, or because God exists, I'm going to just completely deny science, or because God exists, I'm going to, like, be a bigot or a sociopath. I can't do that. I'm too busy just saying to myself, because God exists, I'm going to try my best to be a decent human being. Because God exists, I'm going to try to motivate myself to help out people when I can. Like, and I feel like that should be the case. That should be the thing. Like, once again, like, we can't get a fish sandwich. We can't get optometry. We can't get people trying to heal the blind. We can't get a gym. We can't get people, like, we can't get a housing facility. We can't have shelter. Oh man, I hope that That's the sign. Oh my god, man, that's gonna. Oh my god, that is. Who? I swear to God, I'm not a dirty person, but that's the sign that I gotta go. Boy. All right. Love and peace. I gotta go get ready for work. Y'all be easy. Man, that's messed up. Oh well. I guess I do have to clean that closet out, huh?